Hey friends, Sam Basu here from Una Platform. Have you been building modern web apps with .NET or JavaScript, and now you want to bring those same experiences to native apps running on mobile or desktop? Well, modern web views can really help here. Let's take a look how. Una Platform is your open source stack for building modern .NET cross-platform apps that are native from a single shared code base and they run everywhere. But let's face it, the web is ubiquitous. Maybe you've been building web apps and you have, web content meant for browsers. And how do you bring those to native apps? You don't want to reinvent the UI altogether. You want to reuse what you already have. And this is where modern web views really help. Una Platform comes with a nice UI component called WebView2. This is a smart abstraction that recognizes which platform is your app running on and gives you a corresponding web view for whichever OS that you're running it on. And this is seamless to render any type of web content. So let's take a look at how this looks like in our code. So I am going to go over here to Visual Studio Code, and I have a very simple Una Platform app here, nothing out of ordinary, just a simple .NET cross-platform app. And here is my CS proj, just announcing that my app runs on all the places. The one thing I have done is in my Uno Features SDK, I have chosen to use the web view. This gives me that component that I'm looking for. So now let's look at our main page .xaml. This is the one UI view that I have, and I have a scroll viewer here. I'm putting my WebView2 in here. Let's start with the lowest hanging fruit, simplest use case. With that WebView2 in here, I can go to my code behind file, and I'm essentially pointing the source property of this web view to a remote HTML content or web content, in this case, a website, right? So very simple use case. So let's go ahead and run this. I have this on .NET Desktop pointing to the target platform. That's totally fine. Let's go run that. And the app is going to bootstrap itself. And since I don't have anything else, any other type of UI, I just have a scroll viewer and the WebView2 in it. The WebView2 essentially takes over the entire app canvas. So this is essentially the website just running inside of a desktop app. And it works on macOS and Windows and Linux and iOS or Android. You got some responsive stuff going here. So everything works. And that might be the lowest hanging fruit. So let's take a look at some more realistic things here. So I'm going to go back here to my UI markup, and I'm going to turn off this scroll viewer, and let's do another stack panel here. So the stack panel essentially lets me stack things, and I have a WebView2 in here, and I have one text block. This is a native UI text block in here. I'll show you exactly where I'm using that text block. So now let's go back here to my code behind. I'm going to turn off that source pointing to the remote HTML, and I'm going to turn on a little bit of code here, which is all actually well written up in our docs. So what exactly am I doing here? So first up, I am going to load up some HTML content within my web view. It doesn't even need to be a full DOM. I'm just rendering a div tag, and I'm giving it some width and height, and I'm saying my background needs to be blue. So the web view is just going to render that div tag, which is HTML content. Now I can style it, I can do CSS, and I can do JavaScript. So once the web view is done navigating, which is when it's loaded up the HTML, I can execute a little bit of JavaScript, kind of like the old school jQuery days. I'm grabbing the DOM, and I'm choosing the div tag, and I'm just turning that background color to red. So it should be blue, but then as soon as the DOM is ready, we're going to flip it to red. Also, I can execute some random JavaScript, like what is 1 + 1. I want to show that in a h1 tag right here in my HTML DOM, just show the result of that execution. Also, this web view is now hosted within a native app container and the shell, right? So that shell is written in C# and XAML, but C# and JavaScript can actually talk to each other, which is really nice. So what I'm doing here is a new JavaScript function here, and I'm checking where this app is running. And I'm essentially posting a message from JavaScript back up to the host in C#, right? So that's the post message, and I'm going to execute the JavaScript function called hello world from JavaScript. And on the C# side of things, when I do get that message back from JavaScript, I want to show that in that text block that I just added, right? So very simple, works the other way around as well. So let's go ahead and run this, and you're going to see that same desktop app pop back up again. And this time around, we don't have a full website running. Essentially, we have a simple div tag. Notice how the container, which was supposed to be blue, is now red because we changed it. And that's the result of our JavaScript execution, the 1 + 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then this is the hello world from JavaScript. That piece of text is coming directly from JavaScript. So this could be local JavaScript, or you could be remotely loading up some JavaScript. It just executes. It's a web view. So it just works across every platform that you can think of. Now, just to kind of prove the point, I'm going to switch up where this app is running. Let's go to iOS, right? So iOS debugging, iPad OS sounds fine. Let's check my debug targets here. Let's set that to iOS. And let's go fire this up. So same exact app. I'm just using a modern web view, and I'm trying to load up some local HTML. I'm going to run some JavaScript and see what that looks like. So cold start here. My simulator was not running, so it's trying to load this up. And it's found the iOS simulator, ARM64. It's running on .NET 10 on iOS. So here is, I didn't want an iPhone 16. This is the iPad that I wanted. So should be the same exact app. We'll give it a second to load up. And again, no surprises here. I got the web view. I got my div tag, which is now red, which shows JavaScript is running. I got the result of my addition, and I got my string coming from C# and JavaScript. So JavaScript and C# can talk to each other. They can exchange messages. Now, here's the really nice thing here. Anytime we are dealing with web content, be it inside of an iPad or an Android device or a desktop, it is still a web view. It's a modern browser component. So the thing that web developers cannot live without is DevTools, like developer tools, so that we are able to muck with HTML, CSS, JavaScript while our app is running. So the one piece of code that I've done is, if I go back and look at my appxaml.cs, when my app starts up, I'm recognizing that if you are on iOS, I want to make that WebView2 inspectable. This is essentially a permissions property that Safari needs. You might have other things that you need to do. I think Android, Windows should come free. So with that, I have my app running, right? It's got it up and running in the simulator, which is iOS. And in this case, it's using the WebKit web view. So let's go up to Safari, which is the web view that it's borrowing in this case. Let's go into develop here, and there is my iPad simulator, right there. And that's the name of my app, Uno Web. It's showing about blank because it actually doesn't, the web app doesn't have a name. So I load up web view, and here's my div tag. And that's the color, background color of red, my two, H tags. And I can change up HTML. I can, change up CSS. I can work with JavaScript, all inside developer tools, while my native app is running inside of app simulators, just showing web content. So what I'm trying to say here is this WebView2 is a wonderful control for you to bring web apps or web UI, including HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, down to native apps running on mobile and desktop. Now, have you been building apps with other web frameworks like Angular, React, Blazor? All of that works too, but that's going to come up in an upcoming video. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you have fun bringing your web content to native apps, and Uno Platform is here to help. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Bye.